Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back for another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, December 11th. It is 5:14 Central Time and I only have one daily quest on this account because the quests are kind of bugged and we kind of knew that that was an issue. And you can see I just clicked it and it immediately changed into win 3 games with a warrior and a warlock. Let's take a moment to exit out and exit back in, see if it changes again. It's kind of a known issue. It was certainly happening with the cell phone app. It was happening Friday after the expansion. I got 3 extra daily quests and I spent nearly 8 hours in the post show after spending 3 hours in the regular show. Looks like the best we're gonna get is 3 games with Warlock and Warrior, and I had to struggle certainly in the last stream to get the Tavern Brawls done, and we haven't made any progress on the Soul Adventures 2, so I'd like to be able to do those. However, I do have 2 packs, one of which was from the Tavern Brawl, and one of which was actually from a recruit. So, somebody clicked on the recruit affiliate link and friended me and started playing Blizzard, Hearthstone. And they got to that certain point. I think you have to get to level 10 before your friend gets rewarded. Now, I don't get a lot of that. It would be nice to see a lot more of that, but that does require that new people who haven't played Hearthstone start playing Hearthstone, and that is a tall order for anybody, as I've said many times. But look at what this recruit has gotten me. I'm gonna assume this package was the one from the recruit. They've got me 1 neutral card that's golden. This is the best pack ever. 2 rares. 1 epic. And 1 legendary.
Golden legendary!
Oh my goodness, a golden legendary too. So, on the Americas account, I don't keep golden cards. So, theoretically here, I'm gonna do what is the dumbest thing possible, because if this King Crush character ever did get changed, I would get all 3200 dust. But I'm just gonna do it. Let's disenchant this. But I'm gonna enchant King Crush in regular for the same amount of dust. That way everything just looks the same and is pretty to my aesthetic. And see, this one I'll disenchant for dust, and I don't think I got any other golden cards. I suppose I could type in the phrase extra just to see. Extra. Yeah, I don't have any extras. So, good to know. 320 dust. So I could go down the path of common cards and see what in crafting mode I could craft that was common. Common and missing is what I need to type in. Which I might not really be missing any common cards from any expansion at all. Which, that certainly is a milestone. So we we could go to rare and missing. And then what we could do is lower this down to classic cards and see if we have all the classic rares, which is apparently we do. And then we could go to standard cards and go this direction. So, create things for 100, I could have 300 rare things, so 3 of these cards can be filled in. Some of these, of course, are going to wild, at least is my understanding of it, so changing any of these don't make the most sense. So it's probably better just to stick with the 300 dust and wait. But one day we will get to the point where we look at all cards and we try to get all the rares. And then at some distant point in front of that, we will probably try to get all of the epics and all of the legendaries too. And if I had a massive influx of people who friended me through the recruit link and it got me more packs, or people just gifted me packs after they friended me on Hearthstone and I got more packs, then we could get that done too. It's really not the time to play the arena, even if I was going to. Like, now is absolutely the worst time since we still have that solo adventure, and that's kind of what I want to start with, even though it's not in line.
What is this I am smelling?
Like,
Leather,
I need
steel,
to really...
torches, adventurers! Adventurers!
You can't click through this guy. Warrior or Warlock, and since I've already done Warlock on this, we could try a Warrior run and see if this counts now. I doubt it will, because it's a little too easy to get a victory in this first 10 to count towards the daily quest. It would be very nice if it did. And since the daily quests are kind of messed up, there's a good chance that the other daily quests are going to be low, if none, for the other accounts. I am now officially done with my other obligations for the most part for this December, so I can finally get back to playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's been 2 weeks. The RetroPie project is as done as it's ever going to be done, and no longer in my hands, so I won't really be talking about that or dealing with that, which is kind of a shame. And at some point I will want to build another one for myself, just for personal reasons, but now is not the time to continue to down the path of distractions. Now is the time to get forward and progress on recording videos and scheduling videos. I haven't done any scheduling in probably a month, which surprisingly doesn't seem to really have affected much of anything, but let's see, 4 attack this turn.
It's time for a little.
There we go. So yeah, a little too easy to win for them to count this as a daily quest. But I do want to probably do things like this for a while. Means that cost 5 or more cost 5. I suppose I could try this, because my hero power is not that interesting. It just gives me armor, so double my armor and increase it. And spells, well, we don't have a ton of spells right now, so let's go with this one. I need to experiment with a lot of these things. taunt minions. How many taunt minions do I have right now? 2 and 3. And playing 7 doesn't really make a lot of sense. I guess I'll take this anyways. We'll just have to play towards taunt minions. There's definitely some strategies that you're offered in this dungeon run that doesn't make sense. There's really no late game play until you're at the second to last or maybe third to last dungeon boss.
Victory or death! Be gone! Your magic finds no purchase here.
What is this guy's passive ability? He has a true mana spell, puts a counter spell secret into the battlefield. So play that quickly. Just do that. But the odds of me actually accomplishing this, like, is not very high. If I play this would still cost 1, so it makes no sense.
Battle detected.
This and this. And since we know this is a counter spell,
What you want?
it's kind of pointless. I can do something like this, and then this.
Your magic only feeds the Warren. No problem.
Battle commencing.
Yeah, there's just no way you're gonna play 7 taunts in this. I'm gonna win in 2 turns. Anytime I want to play a spell, which there's a decent number of them, I'm gonna have to deal with that. So, say I wanted to do this, and then this.
My magic is stronger than yours.
This. And then if I attack, I lose the benefit of that. Not that it matters. So we can go through the news, and there's not a ton of news either.
Blood and plunder. It's time for
Battle commencing.
Let's see.
Only doom awaits.
Subnautica has an eye candy update that makes the water look redder, according to Rock Paper Shotgun. So, what seems like it's, for the most part, Subnautica has an update and they're paying for advertisement, because that doesn't really seem like news to me. Let's see. I could play this one for 5. And this one for 5. Or I can get several more taunts, which I think we're down the path where we have to get several more taunts. And go. Monster Hunter World is getting a Mega Man collaboration, so apparently the PlayStation Experience 2017 happened like the day after, well, this says 9/12/2017. Really?
Time.
That is totally the wrong day. Well, no, it could have been 12/9, and since this is Eurogamer, they're putting the things the opposite way. I bet that's it. Yeah. So December 9th in European date format, which for all I know is how everybody besides the United States puts their dates. See, this one just does 1 damage to 2 enemies, which will work perfectly fine with the Brawl character. Brawl deck. Discover Taunt. We'll take the cheapest one we have. Job done. So the PlayStation experience happened. In it, many things were announced, but there's a special Mega Man collaboration with Monster Hunter World. You'll be able to dress up your felony helpers, is what it says, as 8-bit Mega Man costumes, and also hear chirpy bit tunes. Let's see. There's a trailer for it.
Talk about a nice suit!
For Monster Hunter World, which is looking more and more interesting, and it looks like we have a chance here for a lot of people to get into Monster Hunter on a global scale that hasn't been seen before, if people just don't do the wrong thing. Apparently your felony helpers are some kind of like assistant character and not the main character. And so the 8-bit Mega Man, as I'm looking through the trailer, looks completely out of place and doesn't make any sense in the world. But I'm sure the Japanese audience will love the Rockman references, which is what it's called in Japan, and Capcom certainly is probably pushing for more advertisement out there about Mega Man, as they're working towards releasing Mega Man 11. Here's a new article. An old school JRPG called Le Grand Legacy gets a release date in a trailer. Let's watch the trailer and see if I can find the release date. January 24th, 2018. And so far it looks pretty good.
Battle commencing.
Job's done.
It's a guy fighting in an arena. Now some kind of anime fantasy girls and guys, and then half man, half lion character, and there's a dragon. A lot of people getting thrown around. So it's flashing around through a lot of different fights and action sequences.
I see lunch now, dinner!
And now, for a second there, it actually showed the real-time combat. It seems to be a 3-team game with your standard JRPG epic storyline, yes, but doesn't seem like there's much else you can say about it from the trailer. So, the Grand Legacy.
I have an accent right.
Seems to be copying and borrowing from things. It says here that they were inspired by Sokadin, Legend of the Dragons, and Final Fantasy as their key inspirations. Let's see. What do I want? Death Rattle, resummon this minion, fill your hand with coins, recruit 3 minions. Now, recruit, oddly, seems to mean draw from your deck and summon at the same time. So Recruiter is a lot better than what I thought it was going to be as a card in the expansion. I don't think that drastically changes my decisions not to really try and change all my decks just to include the new cards, but it does seem like it's a better mechanic than I thought it took for me to repeat myself there. There's something weird about this Legrand Legacy because Crunchyroll apparently interviewed the developer of the game, and I don't understand why Crunchyroll would do that. Is Crunchyroll getting into the video game industry? Like, that would be a little weird, but also, you know, that'd be rather interesting. I think it would be interesting at least. Another story we have from Gemetsu, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality coming to the PlayStation VR in 2018. So, while Rick and Morty was mentioned a lot and when it first came out and people tried to make money on it and write articles about it, the game itself didn't shake the world, getting more people to buy VR headsets. If it comes to PlayStation VR, maybe that would be a low barrier of entry, but the Rick and Morty game isn't that expensive anyways. So I mean, it's not that long of a game to really justify.
I like the spirit of that one.
All battle cries triggered twice. Oh, darn it. That was the worst card to play, wasn't it? The game Donut Country is coming to PlayStation 4. Do we have a date? Nope, just 2018. Donut Country is a physics adventure game where you control a hole in the ground. Every time you swallow something, the hole grows a little bit bigger. So it's almost like the opposite of Katamari Damacy, where you're rolling a ball around and, well, I suppose if I grab this will become a 5. Yep. Gain 5 health for each element you played this turn. Well, that'll be 0. So that's an interesting game. I'm gonna leave that page up just to see if I can get a PC version of that.
Break yourself upon my body. Yes, this one speaks Jinzo's language.
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocator.
Next article we have Wipe Out Omega Collection gets a free VR update in 2018. Now, I remember playing Wipeout 64 on the Nintendo 64. I suppose technically I remember playing it from a week ago, but more fairly I remember playing it on an actual Nintendo 64 where it ran at a decent speed. A very fast-paced game for that generation of things. Why did this guy not die?
Break yourself.
Job's done.
Wipeout, I guess if you're not familiar with it, is a futuristic, very high-speed racing game with some Mario Kart-esque shooting. It's more of a violent-focused shooting mechanic and boosts. An upgrade to it is probably welcome. It's kind of a shame that it even fell out of public knowledge. In a real sense, there's not great reasons for it, and it's not always in the mindset of players, and there have been a wipeout that came out for, say, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. There's really no reason why this shouldn't have been a major competition. Apparently it's made by Sony. Or it was at the Sony PlayStation Experience, so that's where most of this news is coming from.
Nice little raptors.
Shinzo approves.
Oh, this is not working well at all. Because he's got some kind of doubling battle cry there.
Job's done.
It's just killing me. The Last Guardian VR, this PlayStation Experience is very focused on VR, which is strange because we thought I thought the last PlayStation depiction, which was so heavily VR, was intentionally telling people they had just said, get all your VR stuff out because we're gonna drop support from it. At this point, it seems to be the opposite. It seems that they are going very heavily into VR, and they're going to continue to push it. Either one of those can be true, and we just won't know until when we years later look back and see if VR actually is getting supported or if it should be shoved out the door. I'm not exactly sure why you'd want to play The Last Guardian in VR, because it didn't seem like the cameras worked that well, even in 2D. Now, apparently recruiting bypasses the summon, or even the play phrase here. Play 7 taunt minions. Did I not play when I recruited? I guess I didn't. Let's see, next bit of news. It's the Wipeout Omega Collection. I assume the Omega Collection might just include updated racetracks of the old games, more than a completely new thing.
I'm almost out of cards.
Wow. He mined me for 20 damage. Well played to the boss.
You bring the fight to Jinzo! Jinzo bring the pain to you!
And see, the fact that they haven't said if there's any kind of reward for beating all the caverns with all the bosses really makes it hard to justify doing more than one of those once a stream. Now I need to play Warlock and Warrior in, I assume, ranked mode is the easiest way to do this. We're at rank 20 here. We could play Murloc in Standard and go higher. Or we could play in Wild and be a little bit lower and hopefully get some victories easier. Here's a PC Gamer article about what would have happened if EA had lost the Star Wars, or if they do lose the Star Wars license. This, I believe, is really just... Ooh, interesting. Catty article. They've asked other people from other studios what they would do to effectively give open pitches, which is a terrible thing that anybody at any video game company would respond to that, and anybody who ever had a chance to perhaps give an internal pitch for a Star Wars game should know better than doing this, because once you put a pitch out there, it's public knowledge and it's easily ripped off. So if you're gonna have a cool, new, unique way to go with Star Wars. You pitch it to Disney, the owners of Star Wars, inside secret, and if they approve it, then you make a game. If they sit on it and say, we'll think about it, or we'll have that, we'll keep that in consideration, you're still in a better position. But if you pitch to them something that's already out in general public knowledge, they'll just say, well, that just can be copied. And you're basically giving away your ideas for free. This is amazing that anybody would respond. But then the people that did respond are, I think, from Euro Truck Simulator, Introvision Software, maker of the Escapist games, and Machine Games, which is actually, I believe, the maker of the last two Wolfenstein games, which, you know, frankly, they actually did have a chance. This person who made Divinity Energy Original Sins, his In Exile, I think the makers of Wasteland 2, so a lot of these not close. Respawn Entertainment, Supergiant Games, Obsidian, Marauder Interactive. Yeah, not really any of them are highly in the running. Forever being even allowed in the boardroom to have a conversation. But that is a poor article to even write. I'm trying to have. I don't know if it's clickbait as more of it is just speculation, just baseless speculation for no reason. It's a public opinion piece at best, for no real benefit. Next article we have is an Arika's mysterious fighting game has been titled Fighting EX Layer. Beta begins December 11th, but before that, played on the PlayStation Experience 2017. It seems like it's a PlayStation 4 game. It might come to PC. I really have to wonder about a PlayStation exclusive fighting game. As whether that's a big enough market. Well, the fighters are quite interesting looking. They are clearly comedic rip-offs of some of the other famous fighters in other games, like Street Fighter and others. And it's really hard to tell from a trailer how good a fighting game would be or not. It's all gonna be about how it feels in your hands and how visuals are nice and all, but they don't really have to even be that good. If you just wanted to do a flat 2D animation style, that would work fine. So, not a lot to say there or see there. Let's see, this. A Lord of the Rings card game will hit Steam Early Access next year. I have no idea why anybody would want to limit themselves just to the Lord of the Rings franchise, even if that is a moderately, the Tolkien-esque fantasy is very detailed and extreme. It's still gonna be a challenge to have to come up with new cards and somehow tie it in. Whereas compare that to like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you can just create any card you want and it doesn't really matter. Or I mean, even Pokemon has to stay within the cartoon, but Magic the Gathering doesn't. As another example. entire trailer there of the Lord of the Rings crowd game was just a picture of the ring and nothing else. So here's a still of it. It looks very much like Hearthstone. It's not that. It's not really too much you can change there. So if it was free, maybe I should get in on it early, just in case it becomes the new big thing. But personally, I wouldn't pick it. Let's see.
Thrall versus Gul'dan.
There's a
Your soul shall be mine.
game
For
called
Doomhammer.
Yuminico Golden Fantasia, where you debate witches with your fists according to rock, paper, shotgun in this visual novel turned fighting game. And I would like to see its actual trailer and see what's going on here, because that is a rather crazy description.
Job's done.
And it probably is, it's just a fighting game with more story than you're normally used to. So far, when you cut out what could easily be cutscenes or just trailer animation, it does look very much just like a fighting game. It's a slightly limiting factor to have all the characters, or even just all the female characters, which there seems to be a lot of them, as witches. It's uncertain whether they're going with the idea of there being male witches, or if all the male characters are like witch hunters. It's real easy to translate what would have been just a magical girl series into a witch series, and it not really mean any difference to the Japanese, but it means quite a big difference to the heavily religious people in the United States and perhaps other countries. There's still a decent number of countries out there that believe witchcraft actually exists and works. Apparently it's $25 minus a 20% launch discount right now. Again though, a fighting game, there's just so many coming out now. And now I'm on their Steam page, and the thing I didn't see here was any actual visual novel conversation elements, so I think the article is just totally wrong. Okay, finally. Here, I've found one screenshot on Steam that implies there actually is some conversation elements.
Job's done.
But that may not be that much. On the other hand, if you're gonna give me a visual novel,
Oh yes, they'll
that-
serve me now.
having a fighting mechanic behind it is slightly appreciated in my mind, because it just makes things more action oriented and less built around the idea of reading things out loud for the entirety of the game. Unfortunately, the reviews here are at 69% positive mixed reviews, so it may not play that well. Let's see. This suppose it's only slightly video game related in the sense that all the internet is related. So the Ajit Pai, the former Verizon employee lobbyist, I believe, who was sadly allowed to become the FCC chairman, went to Verizon and gave a speech and joked about Verizon planting a brainwashed FCC chairman and several other jokes, and so clearly he knows what he does. Clearly his allegiance is not to his current job. Clearly he's going to destroy net neutrality if he can get away with it. And there's protests and people calling for him to be fired, and we'll see if any of that happens. We have Sinister Black on the chat saying, "Hey again, hello Sinister." There's really not a lot to talk about. Net neutrality keeps coming up over and over again, and they're just gonna wait until people aren't paying attention and sneak it through in some kind of rule changes. And at this point, the only hope is to force senators and congressmen to either force the FCC to do the right thing and actually represent people, or vote out those senators and congressmen, and at some point even vote out the president that put Ajit Pai in charge of the FCC in the first place, so that change can actually happen. Let's see. Next story we have is Toho's T-O-H-O-U's next fighting game is launching nearly direct to Steam. Oh, what is this game called? Didn't put the actual name in it. It's a fighter game, and I've been through like 3 different fighter games, so I don't know if I'm looking at a new one or the same one. It may just be called Toho Project right now, and that's why it doesn't have a name to mention. Yep, this looks like a 3rd fighting game. And I'm not 100% sure if this is fighting games are back, or if this is everybody's into doing fighting games right now.
For Doomhammer.
Let's see. These are slightly shorter, smaller chibi anime girl fighters, which kind of hurts, I would assume, the actual fighting mechanic, because now the characters are so small that there's more precision needed to actually make contact. Now, the one thing I can say about this Toho Project game versus the witch fighting game is at least the witch fighting game had more female characters and there were some guy characters. This looks like 6 chibi anime girls, and that's it. So if I was to pick between one or the other, I probably wouldn't pick the Toho game. That being said, the Toho game might be better. It might just play more well. Let's see, I'm just gonna end the turn here. There's a game called Humanity that looks like a mashup for Lemmings and Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. Let's see, according to PC Gamer at least. Let's not play the coin. It's a bunch of human 3D models just walking in the same direction, but towards a goal, kind of like Lemmings, where you're trying to guide people. I suppose the thing here with Humanity that they're not learning, the lesson that was very easily learned with Lemmings and didn't even was by default the case is Lemmings made sense when it was more playable and more acceptable when it was cutesy little characters. If you introduce it as if you introduce them as humans, then the game immediately feels more violent and more sociopathic as you're killing people. And there's scenes here at the end where apparently humanity at this point have some kind of light stick that looks like a gun that they're shooting at each other, and when they walk into a crowd going the other direction, they just bump into each other and die. And yeah, so you've taken a kid-friendly game that adults might play, and they've in Humanity they've changed it into an adults-only game that adults are less likely to play. And it doesn't seem like they really added or changed too much otherwise, other than improving the graphics, like human models and models. Maybe Lemmings don't look that good on from a 3D perspective, but I imagine you could do that. Let's see.
Well
Serious Black,
played.
you should probably lower the volume of the game, or vice versa, raise the volume of your microphone. So, and to whom were you talking to till now? Alright, yeah, I've been adjusting the audio, so we'll turn down the audio here, and that works perfectly fine. Who am I talking to? I'm just covering the video game news. That's what I've fallen into because there's been a lot of streams where people don't want to chat, but there are people that watch it, and so and it certainly helps me to be up on the video game news. So I open up the tabs on my page on my Chrome browser. I have them on my second monitor, and I'm just reading them out loud. It's either do that or sit and be silent for a lot of time. Doing this for nearly 3 years now, probably over 3 years. There's not a ton of conversations that I can just think up and have by myself. So yeah, that's who I'm talking to. I'd much prefer to have conversations with fans, but particularly in the December months, that's less likely to happen. So while Sinister Black is getting back to the chat if he's going to say anything. Next article we have from Gematsu is a game called Demo Reborn, D-E-E-M-O? 2 E's. Launches 2019. There's a trailer of this first gameplay. This is the first time I've heard of this game. This may be another PlayStation only thing. Yeah, it seems like it. It's a character. I can't really make out the character. It seems to be mostly in shadow right now, in a very nicely carved world or room. There's a creature playing piano that's kind of a silhouette, a 3D silhouette of a human, more of a pictorial. And it seems like this character might be a little girl with really long hair, and she seems to be walking around, in a puddle, and the puddle might be making some kind of sound effect or something. something
The
that
menagerie is for guests only.
would play along with the sound of the piano being played. Well, they finally went to a different room. This is nicely animated, but that's frankly about all I can say about it. Because it just seems to be nicely animated. It looks like it might just be an adventure game. This guy has 1 health left. Do I have something that will do 1 damage?
Job's done.
There we go. So there's a section on the trailer where they see something written on a piece of paper. This trailer is too slow for modern sensibilities, so this game is probably rather slow.
Thank you.
There may not be any fighting in it, and it does.
It has to be.
There's another human silhouette, so I'm assuming what this is it's a little girl's perspective, and it's just silhouetting out all of the adults. But that was a 4-minute and 30 trailer that showed absolutely nothing. Let's see. Sirius Black says, I'd like to chat with you if I had some more time. Preparing now a study, watching your translation. Okay. Well, that's fine too. Good luck, he says. Well, it's been 45 minutes, but I don't really need more episodes, so I'm going to continue. But I have just realized that I was playing Shaman when I should have been playing Warlock Warrior, so the games I've been playing have only been leveling up this character towards 500 rank victories. Not paying enough attention. Here's a warrior deck. Let's just give in and play casual. Now you might as well play ranked. It'd be interesting to learn, Sirius Black says, the last opponent win was disgusting. Bye-bye. I assume that's disgusting cool and not disgusting you totally should have lost. It'd be interesting to learn if the translation for YouTube, the auto translator or however it does it, is accurate, more or less accurate with me than other people. I wouldn't be surprised if the auto translator didn't like my voice that much. That I've run into instances like that. But then also I simply could be just taking a poor program's performance personally. Far too many P's in that phrase. So let's move on. We still got a lot of news, and yeah, I'm just gonna well, no, I'll just leave my timer where it is and think about going another 45 minutes. Let's see. I don't want to play a coin. I don't really need that weapon either. Let's see. There's a virtual reality adventure called Project Lux that's coming to PlayStation VR. Let's see, it looks interesting at the very least, but like it looks like it might be a JRPG in VR. The question is, how would you do that? That is certainly the question. Do I want to play a 3? Let's scroll down. It's already early access from March. Project looks takes place in a court trial in a futuristic world where humans have cyber brains. What? The screenshot I'm looking at does not match that at all. Let me watch the trailer. Hey, it's E for everyone. It's from a company called Spicy Tales that I've never heard of.
X marks the spot.
And I just see this like this anime girl that seems to be running around you, and like, you seem to just interact with them. And that's mostly what I've seen the Japanese do with VR, is that they put you in a room with an anime girl. The anime girl wanders around. They're experimenting with a second lifestyle idea of having a virtual friends, or perhaps a romantic interest. Summer Lesson is a good example of that, I think. I don't know if I want to kill either one of these characters, so I'm just gonna end my turn. And yeah, this is a VR visual novel, so they're at least trying to be a little bit more ambitious about it. I don't know if you particularly recall the visual novel from, honestly, but the trailer is saying it has multiple endings, and there's a lot of text on screen where it's kind of novelty. It's rated 95% positive as far as all reviews, 82% as far as the Steam database review.
Now?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game though. Like, every single screenshot is of this anime girl in this house, and then the description I was reading did not seem to match any of the idea.
I don't have enough mana. I must choose.
Let's just play
Blood
this.
and plunder.
Let me see if I can read the review here. The crime is murder. The description here. Let's see. Most humans have cyber brains. The defendant on trial is an agent who coordinates with an artist to create data for cyber brains to interact with people's emotions. Is a girl artist named Lux. The jury has to investigate what really happened by reliving memory data of the defendant. And you're just not seeing any of that here in the game. I see no courtroom. I see nobody. I just see this girl who I assume is Lux. And yet, people seem to be happy with it. Hey, Nightbot decided to work again. Finally. I knew I needed to reload in the Nightbot from like the past 2 streams, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
I wonder.
Let's do this. And should I attack or wait? Just attack. So I think this is probably bad news. The developer for the Netflix Witcher series is the Daredevil and Defenders writer-producer, which I believe that means they are the Daredevil Season 2 or Season 3 writer-producer, not the first season of Daredevil. And there was only 1 season of Defenders, and I found that series to be pretty awful. So, because I have that distaste for those two series, I didn't think they were very good. There's less hope in my mind that this will turn out to be that good. And frankly, I guess Netflix has always been a risky proposition these days, and half of what Netflix makes turns out to be not what you'd want.
Scuttle the ship! Scuttle the ship!
They seem to, for the most part, just need to get you to maintain your $12 you're paying a month or $10. I don't even know how much it is nowadays for Netflix. By intriguing you enough to stay, they don't actually have to deliver that much. Which Netflix is in a slightly different position than, say, cable TV, where once you have cable TV, it's rather difficult to cut the cord. You have to really think about it. There's hundreds of channels. Even if you're only watching like 5 shows on 5 channels, it's often difficult to see that is the case.
Taste my blades! Taste my blades!
So, yeah. Now the 3% is getting season 2, which I didn't think the 3% show on Netflix was going to get a second season. I thought it ended just fine at the first season. And so that kind of excites me. 3% is a very interesting show that I think is from like Peru or something originally. Somewhere in South America, I think. I'd recommend everybody watch it. There's an English translation. I don't believe I actually did watch the English translation. I think I just watched it in its original language, and that's my typical snobby way of doing things when I watch foreign things. But however you choose to enjoy it, I think you'll enjoy it
I am
just
one
fine.
with the candle.
But besides the 3%, Netflix has not really offered anything new in a long time that's caught my interest. Let's see. Apparently the Steam Curators Connect overhaul is now live for devs and curators. I think I've already talked about this, but I opened up several pages just to see if there was anything new on that aspect. Let's just switch through all of this. I am gonna get back in the post-show to cheating a little bit more. In this winter section, there's less people that actually watch me and want to help me, or even playing Hearthstone. So, because of that, I'm just gonna use my secondary account and let my secondary account win. Right now, I don't even have a Warlock class card at all. That's rather ridiculous. So something's gotta go. Let's see, weapon, pirates, cry, attack. I think this probably is one that needs to go. But I'll get rid of this one that's called Death, because this one's called Death and it's newer. Warlock. And I need to actually win. So this is an interesting opportunity to look at the new cards we have for the kobolds versus this. At the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. If you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 taunt. Destroy a friendly minion, restore 8 to your health. Draw a card, deal 2 damage. 0. Recruit a demon. And I'll just take everything. this way. And then it'll be interesting to see if there are any demons or anything that would even make sense in kobolds versus kobolds and catacombs. Like, I'm not sure there are any demon style characters in the neutral cards anyways. So all cards now. Let's see. Demon. These need to be full of demons because that's what it will come back to. Because there will be a daily quest to play demon cards, and so that we'll put a Renounced Darkness in there just for some craziness sake. The idea of reducing your health, reducing the cost of a bunch of cards because you Renounced Darkness actually does have some appeal. There you go, there's 30 cards around the demons for the most part. Get rid of that one. And take these instead. Actually, I probably could get rid of something else. And get these. Yeah, get rid of this and take one of these. Maybe take a Hellfire. There's still certainly some things I could pick from, but I think that's good enough to start with. Just give me a Warlock card. Papers, Please for the Vita has been rubber stamped, which it's probably not a phrase you want to use, but I guess that means it's been approved. Typically, in my mind, when something's rubber stamped, the implication is that it was approved when it shouldn't have been, and it wasn't really looked at. I don't really think that's what they mean to say, though. I think what they're more trying to say is it's been approved for Vita release, for which I guess doesn't really mean much besides the Japanese market, where Vitas are still being pushed. Almost certainly there will be a Paper Please Switch version if there isn't already. Let's see, this one.
Why do you call?
I'll go ahead and play this. Nice. It's looking like the Detective Pikachu game will finally come outside of Japan, which it's been PEGI rated for 3 for the Nintendo 3DS, which I imagine that had to happen because they're certainly not going to they're not going to release the Detective Pikachu movie, the live action movie, without the game to tie into it, and that's why people shouldn't get their hopes up for the live action movie. Is clearly it is just a advertisement for the game. Let's see. They have Soul Calibur 6 is coming out. So not only are there a ton of flat 2D or 2.5D fighting games, the 3D games are also coming out too. So clearly 2018 is going to be the beginning of a resurgence of fighting games, the year of the fighters. they may even surpass the year of the. I shouldn't have done that. The year of pirates, which is what it was going to be. Now, as far as Soul Calibur, Soul Calibur, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, and from what I'm seeing, is more of a weapon-based 3D fighter than any of the other games.
Are you my master?
I'm not sure if this was the one with the crazy two evil and strong swords that you get at the end or not. Let's do this. But certainly we do need a top-of-the-line weapon-based fighting game like Soul Calibur to show up things like For Honor, which that's all For Honor was trying to do, was be a realistic weapon fighting game, and nobody really liked it. So Soul Calibur is going to be more of an arcadey weapons fighting game. Let's see. They seem to be mostly showing the same characters over and over again in the entire 10 minutes while this interview is happening in the foreground. Let's see if I can get more information and confirm. This. Yeah, it's gonna be too much. Too many fighting games at this point. Street Fighter Collection announced with 12 games spanning 30 years. I could totally see people wanting to, having very good reason to get that. Now, since most of Street Fighter are just ports from arcade games, one certainly hopes that the emulation is perfect. And they've got some banner art on the side because most of the games are at 4:3 ratio. And this is just every single game that they made. They're gonna call it Street Fighter Alpha in the West, and I imagine they would call it Street Fighter Zero again. Third Strike, I think, being probably the most recent arcade versions of them that are gonna be included. So ideas like Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 being included might be a little bit different. But there is also a Street Fighter 5 arcade edition, and I'm not sure if this is interconnecting with that. Because right below that video on this article is Street Fighter 5 arcade edition, which is very 3D, way more 3D than normal for a 2.5D fighting game, and all the characters' costumes seem to be different. They're showing off Sakura, and Sakura's been a long-running Street Fighter character, and she's in a very different outfit. I wonder if the idea is that these characters have aged a few years and that they're up to their 5th Street Fighter tournament. I'm sure there's probably a movie out there or two that, or some kind of backstory that would agree with that idea. This deck would definitely work well with Reno Jackson, so to refill your health. I have that card, just didn't consider putting it in there. If anything, the Street Fighter V Arcade Edition doesn't strike me as particularly crazy and fast, unless there's just an insane amount of button presses that are necessary to push to achieve a single attack. But yeah, that's a different game from the 30th anniversary edition.
We're gonna be rich.
See, right below that video is a cinematic opening of the 30th anniversary edition, so it just seems like they're putting the same videos on different games videos on the same article, unless I'm just confused. And I think I might be confused here. That is both Street Fighter V Arcade Edition and the 30th Anniversary Edition are the same thing.
So many possibilities.
Let's see. Destroy friendly minion, deal 1 damage. I will do that. This, that. Well, moving on, since I can't get that straight. Like, it seems like there's 2 games coming out. Take damage from your own cards to upgrade. Does that include doing this? No. It doesn't. Lifesteal, deal 3 damage. I could kill this guy right now. And that's probably the right move to do. Here's a Your Gamer article saying your Amiga games are likely dying. Damp addicts and insidious bit rot are destroying floppy disks. Who's saving them? And I think this article goes on to say that there's probably a group out there saving them. The National Video Game Arcade in Nottingham is actually working on it. And that there's an urgent need for preservation. The good news is if you still have a floppy disk drive, if you have Amiga games, and if you can do a accurate copy of the files, that's probably all you need to do. Like, so like a Windows copy is probably good enough. Maybe they do want a direct disk image of every single disk, and that would add some complication. Since they're just floppy disks, even if you had 3,000 floppy disks of Amiga games and all of them were readable and copyable, you're still only talking about 3 gigabytes. You could literally buy a 16 gigabyte micro SD and mail the thing to whoever the National Video Game, what was it? The National Video Game Association is NVA. Of course, you probably would want to talk to them first, because there's a chance that you don't have anything that they don't already have. And what I've come to learn, having dealt with computers for a very long time, decades, generally speaking, it's not worth your effort. Like, yes, somebody needs to preserve things, but personally, if it's just your own personal files or just something that's very common, worrying about it's not a big deal. Like, I've had so many times hard drives have just failed, and it's just been like, well, I have to delete all of this, or I have to delete half of this because I don't have a big enough hard drive to copy it over to.
Job's done.
So, or it's just like, it's all gone. I couldn't have saved it if I wanted to. Start over again. Or at best you start over from a backup. That slightly helps you. Destroy a friendly minion.
Out of Rydo.
Job's done.
See, the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, by the way, is coming to the PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch. And yes, the Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike are the last of the 12 games that came out. All of the Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter and Street Fighter Zero or Street Fighter Alpha games are in it too, or at least all of the ones. Of course, that excludes any hacks or mods that might be particularly popular, which for the instance of Street Fighter, I think might be a case of there being some hacks and mods. Street Fighter 1 in particular is a very odd choice of a game because it's so incredibly slow and so limited on the number of items. Let's see, here's an article we already talked about with Mega Man and Monster Hunter World. There's a game called 5PB period apostrophe S, which I have no idea how that is pronounced, but I guess that's 5 PBs, as 5 personal bests. And the game is called Konosuba, which is now available for PC in Japan, and I just see this one screenshot of a character seeming to scream, and that's it. Let's just play this.
Oh yes, they'll serve me now.
Let's see what the article is. Konosuba God's Blessing is an anime. The Wonderful World Judgment on the Greeny Game. So it follows the game's original story different from the... it follows a game original story different from the original work. The protagonist, Kazuma, puts on a cursed ring that seals the underwear, steals the underwear of those around him. The following day, he finds a large amount of underwear in his possession. He doesn't know who owns them. After asking Veneer for his expert opinion on the ring, Kazuma learns that the vast sum of money is required to lift the curse. From there, the new adventure begins to gather funds to remove Kazuma's cursed ring. Okay, that seems like that is a different story from what I thought the anime was, because I think the anime is more of a story that that there's this basically total loser of a character that accidentally dies, and there's some god that feels bad about that, and so he sends him into a virtual reality world type place where he is the coolest character ever and everybody loves him. I think that's the story of the anime. I guess clearly the game is taking it even in the more pervy direction. Even the anime, I think, is generally a pervy direction, because I think the idea is that all the girls are going to be canon in the series. Here's yet another article talking about Street Fighter 5 Season 3 Character Pass, adding characters. Oh, so Season 3 gets you Sakura, Blanca, Falky, Cody, G, and Sagat. Wow. You had to wait 2 seasons to get some of the cigars. Like, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. All right, well that warlock didn't work too well. Let's try this warrior. PC Gamer article asking what's the difference between Cat 5, Cat 6, and Cat 7. Easiest way to explain this is that as long as you're getting Cat 5e, you can get, for very short runs, you can do 1 gigabits per second. Now, that being said, if you have Cat 6a or Cat 7, you could do 10 gigabits per second if you had a internet and network that supported that. So an internet interface and a network switch, network router. And certainly that's not external internet speeds, that's internal network speeds for transferring file from one computer inside your house to another computer inside your house, and we're just not to that point because it's too expensive. So for future proofing, Cat 6 over Cat 5e has shielding sometimes, but any network cord for short runs is fine. If you want to do long runs and be future proof, do Cat 7, pay a little bit more. At least do Cat 6a, but there's not really too much you have to remember. Just do the best you can do with the budget you have, and almost certainly that you'll be fine. There's higher likelihoods that your computer might be misconfigured and not do 1 gigabit per second transfers, and that should be a higher concern than anything else.
I live to serve the Lich King.
Let's moving on to video games again. There's a tough alchemy puzzler called Opus Magnum that's coming out of early access. Says GOG declines to sell it because it looks too much like a mobile game, according to the developer. Interesting. Well, this one looks like it's more of a challenge for a game like Alchemy, which Alchemy, there certainly have been cell phone games like that that seem to do the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I'm interested in it.
My echoes are eternal.
It looks kind of like a programming game where I would be at a slight disadvantage because it's a new level language of programming, but I'd still probably be at a decent advantage because of just my programming education. There's a game from Bohemian Interactives that's a sandbox game called Yelands, YLANDS. It's entering early access. Let's see what this is. This is a PC Gamer article, so this is probably just an advertisement for a new game. It's another pirate game with blocky, low polygon characters. So in a lot of ways, this just feels like a lot of these pirate games are rip-offs of Minecraft, Rust.
Blessed be this
same elements. Yeah, there's nothing that looks wrong with Yelands. It's just nothing that looks amazing right either.
Sharp gadgets and steel.
They're starting a little bit more ambitiously with horses. Now they're showing a platforming puzzling section of the game, so and now they're showing medieval warfare with swords and armor and catapults. This seems too ambitious now. Now they're showing cars? Like, now they said this was an open sandbox, however, so with that knowledge, I suppose the idea is that none of these things are actually going to be built when you start playing the game. Yeah. I'm not really impressed with Elands. It could be great, it could not, but it probably isn't going to be. I don't think there's going to be another Minecraft. There's just too much competition. There's going to be a new idea that nobody ever thought of, not just an iteration of ideas people have thought of. Deal 3 damage to all minions if I was holding another dragon.
One last fight.
Let's see.
Let's start some trouble.
The end is close.
Let's see, there's a game called Occult 9 that's coming to additional hardware. It's coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PS Vita in Japan in November. It's coming to additional hardware. What is the additional hardware?
I see gold.
The new version will be available as a free update to users who already purchased the PS4, Xbox, and PlayStation Vita version. But I guess they're just not saying what that additional hardware is. I guess it's coming to the Switch if I was to guess. Death Rattle do 1 damage to everybody. Taunt. Let's see, here's a article from Steam itself about the curator's update. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. While that I'm reading that, let me think if there was anything interesting that happened on YouTube. No. Not really. My biggest video in a very long time is up to 500 views, and a significant amount of those were during the period where it was determined to not be suitable for advertisers, so they managed to screw me over as far as ad views there, which is, I think, what YouTube's going to do a lot. If I was to guess, they're going to demonetize videos as they're popular and try to limit the number of money any person can make until everybody just leaves it. That being said, in the meantime, it seems Patreon decided to add charges and irritate everybody. So right as people are abandoning ad revenue from YouTube, whether they want to or not, that to Patreon saw fit to screw over people too. So everybody is just being a very bad,
I feel empty.
I don't know what the phrase best to use is. They're being bad shopkeepers, bad patrons, bad companies, and that's kind of sucky. Like I don't want the world to become this almost like Ferengi world, to use a Star Trek reference, where every single person is being screwed over by every other person in the world.
Time passes.
Alright, so if I attack this, this, and then do this, I really need to hold on to this, but I guess I can't.
We're gonna be rich.
Like, we need more consumer protection, not less consumer protection, to hit that idea.
Your strength becomes your weakness.
Let's see, who can be a Steam creator? Gamers, fans, critics, journalists, developers, artists, industry tribes, and managers. Can I recommend games that aren't in my Steam library? Yes, you can recommend games that aren't via Steam, but you can't recommend games that don't exist. Can I link my YouTube channel? Absolutely. With every recommendation you make, you can enter a couple hundred characters about why you could recommend a style, but we realize that may already have a great review written on your website of videos. So you can include a link to your own YouTube channel, website, blog post. So yeah, you can review games and put it in your YouTube videos, which we've seen people do, but I'm not sure that particularly is worth my time. Let's just leave this at this point. So, one victory in an hour and 45 minutes. Let's switch over to the European account. Like, I'll get the rest in silent post-game play. The thing, though, is with my cell phone, I can only play myself
Welcome to the end, friend.
on the Americas account. So these daily quests for the European and Asian accounts are pains. Fortunately, it seems like we don't have to do anything here today, which is fine by me. So let's go over to the Asian account. There was a card pack, I believe, to open, so we might do that. Do I get money from being a curator on Steam? Nope. What's the difference between following and joining a group? Following and joining a student group are two different actions. If you follow a group, you're only signing up to see the group's recommendations, and you curate your activity feed and potentially on your Steam homepage. If you join a group, then you're a member of the group and can participate in discussions. So, win 3 games of any class, cast 40 spells, win 2 games of Druid and Rogue, so we'll have to probably play Druid. Let's see, I'm not sure why I got another one of these packs, but I'll take it. And I assume I got this pack from the Tavern Brawl.
Golden common, rare.
Now on the Asian account, I'm leaving all the Goldens alone, so at least until those change. Double check. We want a Druid, a Rogue victory. It's rather strange that we're so different. But that's really just the bug happening. Let's see, are there rules for a student creator? Yes, you have to follow the guidelines. You should not link to promoting stores. If you accept money or compensation for making products or review, for posting a recommendation, you must disclose that. If they made it a little bit easier and automated, I probably would become a Steam curator, but as it is right now, it's just too much extra work. That probably wouldn't link back to my channel too much. This would clearly be one of the things on the list if I was going to hire somebody, or if somebody wanted to help my channel, that I would say, here, you're in charge of running the Steam curation page. But even the big people don't do that stuff. Moving on, World of Warcraft Legion's final boss is so tough even the best guilds can't beat him, according to PC Gamer. Which, okay, I suppose that's slightly interesting if you play World of Warcraft, but I imagine it doesn't even really affect that many World of Warcraft players, because if it was only the top tier groups that were even having a chance to reach the final boss, which I assume might be the case,
Reporting for duty.
it's not affecting that many people, and I imagine they may put out a change at some point to make it easier. Let's see, Steam Early Access survival game The Forest is coming also to PlayStation 4, which is weird because that means that it's going to be an early access game on the PlayStation 4 and Steam. The Forest is yet another one of those survival Rust style games. It's not a bad looking game or anything like that. It's survival and trying to build things, build shelters, chop down a lot of trees, a lot of fishing. I would say The Forest is particularly focused around material gathering and building, and it seems from this trailer that at nighttime you run into some kind of crazy cannibal killers on the island or forest that you're on, which puts a slight story element to it. Let's, I suppose, start with this. And I'm watching two players play the game, and they're building walls and zip lines. Interesting. Bows and axes, and
Let me think.
it seems like these are kind of more of a zombie style mutated creatures than anything else. Multiple arms. It seems like it's the combination of two games that shouldn't be combined, honestly.
They'll never know what happened.
Job done.
Like, I would be all for playing something like Left 4 Dead with crazy amounts of zombies, and I would be all for a survival game, but the two together gets a little weird.
That was a mistake.
This one's mine.
To promote Okami, Capcom, the same people that put the Mega Man into the Monster Hunter game, is trying a Dota 2 character in the Steam Workshop for the Okami character, which is a probably very cheap and potentially arguably lazy way to promote the re-release of Okami, but I mean, what can you say? Capcom is brilliant.
For the wild.
There's a game called Floor Kids that launches December 7th in North America, December 18th in Europe, for about $20. It's a bunch of kids in a flat 2D animation for the Switch, apparently, that are breakdancing. So it's like a breakdancing music. No, it seems actually that you breakdance using cards
That was a mistake.
or something. No, I don't know how you control this game. Whether it's clicking things on the screen or pushing things with the controller to directly control the character. It almost seems like it's a new attempt on something like WarioWare.
For the wild.
Kill this chicken
Job done.
so we can enrage him and give him +5 attack. Oh my goodness. This is the first time I think anybody has ever actually enraged the angry chicken. So yeah, for people looking for yet another game on the Switch, 4Kids is an option. There's a game where you play the Arab Spring in a game called Riot Silver Unrest. I'm not sure if you particularly would want to play that, and it seems like the game is just using relatively recent Civil Unrest as an advertisement, so that seems a little cheesy and uncouth. There's an action-adventure game called Vesta, V-E-S-T-A, coming up for the PlayStation 4. $15 December 26th in Asia via the PlayStation Store. Let's see, what kind of game is it though? It's set in a technically advanced post-apocalyptic universe. He plays Vesta, a quick-witted 6-year-old girl who wakes up in a desolate underground labyrinth. It's always you play as a little kid. And the weird thing is that half the time they're setting it up so you play as a little kid in a game that's not even rated for kids to play. So, some weirdness there.
That was a mistake.
Keep a friendly beast.
For not a time.
And
Will the carrot
let's see. There's more than 30 levels. Solve unique challenges in each level. A set of different environments fitting with various objects to interact with. Platforms, conveyors, hatches, and more. So I wouldn't even be surprised if this is like a 2D puzzle game. Here's a trailer down there. I should have watched that before I tried to read it. Like, for the most part, most of these articles you can just scroll down and see the trailer and get a visual idea of what the game is gonna be, or at least what they're selling the game as, instead of trying to read it. Kind of has like a Portal-esque feel in this beginning animation. I'm not sure if this comic book style beginning animation is going to stop showing this long enough to show us the actual gameplay.
A game? So kind of you to join me.
Where shall I strike?
Okay, now it's into the actual gameplay. It does seem like it's a top-down puzzle area more than anything else. Seems to be rather action-oriented, so it's not a slow puzzle game. There's a lot of avoiding projectiles and dealing with robots, so there's probably a fighting mechanic inside of it too.
All realities, all dimensions are open.
I always win.
So not a lot of information about it, but looks like it might be decent. That game is a little odd because it hasn't been talked about too much. Let's see, I think I already talked about Arcana Heart 3 Love Max 6 stars. So I don't know why I opened that one again. And let's see, we are now at the Yogscast Jam Humble. Let's reload the page and see what games are unlocked now. Let's see.
Reporting for duty.
And I'm just gonna kind of scroll over these games and generally speak it. So Headlander and Scanner Sombre. are on the second row as far as games that I even notice. But there, after Headlander, there's 5 other games I've never even heard of. So I would get multiple duplicates and a lot of things that just never heard of. And for $35, it's actually rather a difficult choice to say this is worth your time.
For the wild.
So then that leaves us with just a slight possibility that there's some new news on the Twitter. So let's look at that. Then I'm just gonna go into the post show. There's
Let me think.
there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, and I don't really want to do it because the things are bugged. But I know I can shoot through at least the Americas accounts. And I technically, I guess I only need to get 2 things done. So there you go. Article for PC Gamer. Tech Art Pioneers accuse FCC of not understanding how the internet works, which is almost certainly they're intentionally doing that. Fallout 4 VR apparently is now available. PUBG is so popular in China, the country may have more Steam users than the US.
They'll never know what
There was a couple other things not on the list of games selling a lot of copies. I think I'll probably just close them and not talk about them since I don't want to bother to pull them up on my phone. Things hit some milestones. Some things hit them. Milestone. You can now fly a Millennium Falcon in No Man's Sky.
Well played. For the wild.
Let's see. Here's some new decks from PC Gamer for Hearthstone's new expansion.
First wish is free.
May my ancestors watch over.
A PC Gamer article of what Owlboy would look like if what Mega Man would look like if the Owlboy creator made it. There's a lot of PC Gamer articles that are non-articles here. There was a job listing. I'm still not getting around to doing it. Like, the Uncharted franchise has surpassed 41 million in sales. Destiny 2 apparently has a new public vendor that kills PC players for running higher frame rates. I don't understand why you would let that happen, but okay. But Destiny 2 has had a lot of problems. The announced date for Conan Exiles has finally gonna be announced. Interesting. Like, I thought that one was probably gonna lose all of its hype in early access, and it probably has. I've casted 2 spells and done nothing else. Let's see. PlayerUnknown apologizes for overly detailed female anatomy in the PUBG test server. Okay. It looks like because the characters sometimes start in their underwear or can be in their underwear. The underwear was clinging too much. There's a big black bar on the picture, so I'm not sure. I'll have to do some research for science there. Yeah, and I'm just scrolling down here, and I think I've hit the point, yeah, where I've seen all the news. So yeah, there's a couple articles here. A couple articles I'll talk about on Wednesday, but for the most part, I am just happy to turn this into a post-show. There's going to be a lot of laid-back working, trying to get victories. Yeah, unless I can find somebody that will let me win, and I need to get 2 of these done. So 3 victories might be even easier than doing 40 spells, but it shouldn't be. 2 victories and spells are ideally what I should do. Well, that's it for this stream. Stay tuned for the post show. It's been pretty long, on nearly 2 hours. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.